So if you're watching this video, I'm sure you consume a lot of Alex Hormozi content. And I'm in the same boat where I've dove into hours upon hours of his business talks, his conference talks, and just to figure out why he is so successful and how other online businesses aren't at the same level as he is. So if you don't know Alex Hormozi already, he owns acquisition.com. He also scaled up Gym Launch, Prestige Labs to 50 mil in revenue in just under 2 years. So what makes Alex Hormozi different from any other online business, service-based businesses, right? So if you really think about how he goes into companies and scales them up, he follows this very similar roadmap. And looking at thousands upon thousands of hours of his content, this is essentially the flowchart that he follows in order to scale up a company. So step number one, whenever he does input himself into a business or he acquires a certain percentage of a company, he identifies the bottlenecks in the company first. So essentially what it is, the first question he asks himself is, are enough leads coming in, right? It's either yes or no. He follows down this flowchart. So if no leads are coming in, we need to find a way to get leads in, whether it's through organic or paid media like Google ads or Facebook ads or TikTok ads. We need to find some way to get leads in the door. If no leads are coming in the door, there's no point of optimizing any other process. This whole flowchart is irrelevant if you're not getting any leads in the door. And if leads are coming into the door, we ask ourselves, are calls getting booked or are they not getting booked, right? If calls are not getting booked, we have to look at our offer that we're offering to a cold audience, for example, on Facebook ads, to see if our offer is actually a offer that the marketplace wants. Is it a world-class offer like Alex Hormozi described in $100 million offers? If it is, we need to have an appointment setter that calls up the leads, actually qualifies them, and gets them excited to book a call with us, to speak with us and pitch them our services as well. And if it is not a world-class offer, you're having a lot of leads in the door, but you're not getting any calls scheduled, we need to make a better offer where it's almost a no-brainer for the business owner to not hop on a call with us. And after that, what we really focus on is, are the calls actually qualified? If they're not qualified, we need to either disqualify them harder on the front end, whether it is to call them out on a Facebook ad, doing above a certain amount of revenue, or we just need to launch new ad creatives targeting different segments of the marketplace. And if calls are qualified, we either ask ourselves, are we closing the leads or are we not closing leads? If we're not closing leads, it is a sales issue. If the closing rate is very low and we're not making return on investment, it's a sales issue or it's a pricing issue. And if we're closing the leads and we're making a lot of money, or if we're not making a lot of money, what we need to think is our client retention good? If it is, we need to increase prices until we hit a sweet spot. And this is what Alex Hormozi does in order to scale up companies at a very fast level. He finds a sweet spot where the offer and pricing makes sense. That way he could acquire his second or third client through paid advertisement. And if our client retention is not good, we do need to work on our service delivery. And then if we're making a lot of money, we just need to do more of that. Whether it is to scale up ad spend, find different mediums to scale up. Usually the most basic answer is just to scale up what you're currently doing. Because you could have a 7-figure, 8-figure company from Facebook ads alone or Google ads alone. So it's more so to double down on what's currently working, since you already know the systems, the automations, and everything in play. That way you can control the amount of leads that are coming into your business. So this is a very simple flowchart that Alex Hormozi follows whenever he inserts his team into an acquisition company that he acquired. Or, for example, if he partners with the gym owner, he also did this for Gym Launch as well. He identifies the bottlenecks first, and afterwards he makes an action plan to actually increase every KPI to the point that we're actually making money for our business. And number two is a thing that most people don't actually talk about in terms of high ticket sales. So number two is really about the price game. So how do we increase more revenue, more profit for our business and make more money on the long term? Because I'm sure you've been in the same scenario where you're not increasing prices because it's a very uncomfortable situation to put yourself in if you're the main closer for a company, or to put your salespeople in by increasing prices. However, if you have the KPIs, which is very important for most of the clients I onboard in terms of scaled acquisition, we need to track all their KPIs so we can find bottlenecks in their system. And if you have the KPIs to back otherwise, you should always increase prices. So let me give you an example so you can see this in action. So I've seen this with Cole Gordon as well. So he does over 8 figures a year on selling his sales program. And also he also has other companies that he works with. And the thing that he mentioned is selling a package anywhere from 1K to 5K. It's all very similar. You still have to hop on the call. You still have to do discovery. You still have to do the sales deck. You still have to do objection handling. So there's no difference between selling a 1K package versus a 5K package for the most part. But you definitely need to track your KPIs to see if that's the same case in your scenario. So for example, let's say we're starting off at a 3K package and our closing rate is around 25%. So out of 100 calls, we're going to have 75K cash collected in general, right? And let's say we do decide to increase prices, which we should definitely be playing with around prices. That way we can find the sweet spot where we're making the most amount of money, cash collected, while also being able to acquire that second and third client as well. So let's say on a 5K package, we have a closing rate. It drops a little bit. Let's say it drops 5%. We have 100 calls and we get 100K cash collected. So I would take the 5K package any day just so it makes me 33% more money on the back end just by increasing prices. So a lot of business owners, whenever they do see this, what they realize is for the most part, it's more of an ego thing. They don't want their closing rate to drop. How many times have you heard a salesperson or closer talk to you and say, my closing ratio is 70%, 80%? In reality, what we should really be looking at in terms of how do we start the fire for a business, how do we make the fire grow bigger, is actually seeing how much cash collected on the back end. Because with more cash collected, we have more money on the back end to hire a better team, have better service delivery, and just increase the business as a whole. And it helps us serve our clients as well. So if you're running any offers between 1K to 5K, I would highly recommend just getting rid of anything in between. So for example, if I'm running an offer between 1K, 5K, 3K, and 10K, what I would do first is just cut out the 1K and cut out the 3K. Because anywhere from 1K to sub 10K is all the same to sell. Whenever it gets more so above 10K, that's when you can realize a bigger drop in closing rate. But for the most part, if you're selling a package 1K, 3K, and 5K, the best way to increase revenue for your business is simply just give them only the option to go for the 5K option. Even if closing rate drops, you need to track it on the back end. Very important to reiterate. Even if the closing rate drops, you'll have more cash collected on the back end. And this is how Alex Hormozi really does pricing for all his gyms that he used to partner with when he ran Gym Launch, but also for his acquisition companies that he acquired. He will play around with pricing and keep increasing it by 1K, 1K, 1K until it gets to a certain sweet spot where his closing rate and cash collected is at a sweet level where closers, salespeople, himself are making a lot of money. And thanks for this video, and leave a comment of what you want to see next or how you thought about the video. I'll see you in the next one.